Welcome to This Week in Vegas, a Bettor's View. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined with my partner in crime, Vegas Runner. As we do each and every week, direct from Las Vegas, we bring you This Week in Vegas. We're just going to shoot the breeze about what's happening. VR, there's only one thing happening in Vegas this week.
College basketball.
Final Four action. It's, let's be honest, okay? We have only got one number one seed. It's been an absolute crazy Final Four. NCAA tournament
to date,
period.
Sure.
Great action, upset, Cinderella stories. And if you're going to talk Cinderella, you can't talk Final Four without saying Butler. This is the feel-good story. They're playing, basically 10 minutes from their campus. It's virtually going to be a home game for Butler. There's all of the references to Butler in the movie Hoosiers, which, in my opinion, is probably one of the top, if not the best, one of the top.
For sure.
For basketball, it's number one, but for sports movies, period,
it's up there.
It's a top five movie.
For sure.
I'll be honest with you. Last night, my fiance Lori, she's never seen the movie Hoosiers. I pulled out my DVD
and watched it.
We watched Hoosiers last night.
Great flick.
You got to. It's Final Four week. That's what you got to do.
For sure.
I'm so into seeing these four teams play on Saturday. You're on a great run. Congratulations. To you. What have you hit? Like 7 in a row with your 3-star plays.
Yeah. 7
college
straight.
Basketball. How many?
10 straight college basketball winners. Swept the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. So you just catch. That you've been there where things just pop out and it just makes sense, and you're on the right side of those coin flip games where it's down to the wire and you just end up on the right side of them.
I've got a nice run going myself. I'm 9-2, but I'll be honest. Unfortunately, one of the two losses for me, was my tournament game of the year on Saturday, and situation. I went with Kansas State.
Tough one, man. They took a 1-point lead too, man, with 2 minutes left.
I was worried. There was like 4 minutes left.
They grabbed the lead. That 1-point lead after that missed free throw. I was like, I had the other side, so I'll tell you the truth. I was telling you right there. Yeah. I liked your side. Once they took that 1-point lead, I thought that's it.
Crazy.
It looked like the refs had gotten into it, the crowd had gotten into it, and all the momentum was gone. But they just took stupid shots. Let's face it, they went down the court and they thought they could just launch that Hail Mary 3-point. They played so well to get back in it that when they finally took a 1-point lead, instead of continuing to play they were launching threes like that, hoping that they're just so lucky they're going to go in.
It was almost to the point that what you saw once Kansas State got the 1-point lead, they played like the team that gave up the lead. You see that so often when a team's got the lead the whole game, and then the other team makes that charge and finally grabs that lead. As soon as they get the lead, if they're tied,
that's where Butler impressed me the most, because they kept their composure right there.
They did the same thing.
More times than not,
Syracuse.
A team's going to fold in that spot.
This is something that me and you've talked about, and I've preached just many, many times, and it's a huge advantage for teams in a tournament. When you have that team that was in a dogfight already, it's a huge edge for moving on, because they've already experienced that pressure of coming down to the final 2 minutes where every shot is life or death.
I think it was
as opposed to a team that's had, blowouts the whole way. And that
look at Kentucky. Look what happened in Kentucky.
Right
they haven't had to play from behind at all. They didn't know what pressure is. They don't know what having to show up for a whole 40 minutes means.
All those games
they
that West
think
Virginia,
talent alone they could get out there and get it done, and it's just not the case when you're playing against teams that are just this talented. You can't tell me West Virginia's roster isn't as talented as Kentucky's. Yeah. Maybe, Kentucky has 1 or 2 guys that are going to go top 5 in the draft.
Right.
But as a whole, as a team as a whole, West Virginia's got some studs. They're not there by accident.
No, and like I pointed out, the hard run that they had in the Big East tournament.
Exactly.
All those close games where they came down to the final.
You got a coach. You got a good coach.
They got a coach that's on a mission.
Exactly. They had the makings of a team that was going to go in there and upset that 1 seed. I loved West Virginia against Kentucky. to be honest with you, even in my bracket, I had Kentucky.
West Virginia.
I didn't think Kentucky was going to get to the Final Four. I didn't think Kansas, to be honest with you, was going to get that far.
Well, I didn't have Kansas or Kentucky in my Final Four, but I still only got one to the Final Four.
I win my tournament, baby. Back in Philly, ace in the place. That's the name of my team. If Duke wins, I'm guaranteed to win the tournament. I'm the only one left with Duke cutting down the nets. The only one that could beat me is West Virginia. So that game for me is huge Saturday. Let's tell it like it is. The winner of that game is supposed to cut down the nets Monday. Neither Butler nor Michigan State is expected to cut down the nets. Historically, in my era, in your era, how many times have you seen? RJ did a blog this morning where you saw the numbers. No seed below a 5 has been able to cut down the net. So.
Which is going to be a good segue. Be sure to check out at pregame.tv this week. We're going to have a video podcast where we're actually going to talk about the history
of the Final
Four, and it's a good point. And we'll talk about it more in that video, but the case is, really, should Michigan State and Butler be 5 seeds?
Yeah, that's as a sports bettor, as a bettor, that's what you need to dig into. And I think through the tournament, I've done well by finding those teams that should be a higher seed or even should be a lower seed. And I think there's been value there. Now, though, the problem is you got 2 number 5s. It's not like you have a fake 5 playing a number 1 where you say, this team could actually be a 3. But now you have 2 5s, and can they both be underrated?
Well, here's the one thing when the math comes in, and again, this will be more for the other video, but you're guaranteed that there's going to be a number 5.
Oh, for sure. It's
in the championship game.
It's confirmed.
So that changes the math.
Yeah, for sure.
Because so many times you wouldn't be having the 5 versus the 5.
There wasn't an opportunity for a 5 to win it.
So
now we do have a 5.
So
that's the key to the history, is how many 5s actually got to the game and lost it.
Right. That's what I'm going to argue. That's what I'm going to argue with RJ. The other point, and I put up a post yesterday at pregame forums that. Really, can you call Butler a Cinderella story?
No.
Because here's a team that they're making them as a Cinderella because they are the small school.
Yeah, they're mid-major. They're really mid-major left. They got a coach, Indiana bred. He just came on the scene 2007, taking over for their ex-coach Licklider, whatever his name is, that went to Iowa, who built that Butler team, that organization.
Here's a team that's in the Final Four that if you go back to week 1, the preseason polls, they were number 10 in the USA ESPN polls. So if they were a preseason number
top 10,
and now they're playing in the Final Four.
Where's the Cinderella story of all that?
How can this team be?
If anything, I think Michigan State's more the Cinderella story. Here's a team that got to the Final Four, to the championship game last year, lost.
Crushed.
Yeah, lost their point guard, their stars, their major point guy and assist guy, and are now playing to get back to that championship game. I think that story is even more surprising than the Butler. But Butler's just such a beautiful thing because it's a mid-major.
It's a small school.
Exactly. And regardless how many wins they get, Murray State had 30 wins before anybody else. Yeah. They're not going to get the respect any other team gets. Even though Butler, which we'll break down when we break down that game, had a very tough schedule. They didn't play cupcakes in their non-conference schedule, and their conference schedule was pretty tough as well.
Hey, this has been This Week in Vegas.
I can't wait for the weekend, dude.
This just flies. It's going to be a big week here in Vegas. A lot of tourists will be coming to town. They were buzzing the last 2 weekends. Vegas has been hopping. People coming for the Final Four this week. The last couple weeks, you got spring break people coming. This is the place to be.
Dude, everybody has an opinion. I'll tell you that. I heard all 4 sides already.
I'll be on the Strip Saturday. Enjoy the games this week. He's Vegas Runner. I'm Marco D'Angelo. This has been This Week in Vegas. We'll talk to you next week. Good luck this weekend.